One distinct advantage of an aquaponics system is that you don't have to be overly concerned with growing plants close together. In conventional gardening, again, when we have the plants close together, they're fighting for nutrients in the soil. And so aside from the fact that we need a plant to be able to spread itself out when it's gonna produce fruit, in an aquaponics system, they're not fighting for nutrients, because every time that water level comes up and gives them all that nutrient-rich water, they're getting everything that they want, all the oxygen, all the water, and all the nutrients that they want. I just want to make a quick comparison for you, just so you can see the growth difference between a vegetable in an aquaponics system and one that's in a more conventional gardening environment. This corn here, I want to compare it to some corn that I planted at the exact same time that this was planted, but I have some other corn that I planted in dirt, and I want you to be able to see the difference between these. Obviously, we have some really thick, high stalks here. We have some corn husks already coming up. We're probably just maybe 15 or 20 days from harvest with these. And then I want you to take a look at these now. Yeah, I planted this in a large tub with our organic soil. This corn was planted at the same time as the corn in the aquaponics system, but you can see that these are less than half the size, and they are only just now starting to produce the sheaths for the corn husks. One other part of my system at home that I wanted to show is actually kind of a more conventional way of gardening. Not very conventional, because I'm not gardening in soil per se, I'm gardening right on my patio, and I'm doing that in pots. So I've got all organic soil here, and you can see I've got a lot of beautiful plants growing: corn, celery, Swiss chard, some spinach, tomatoes, zucchini, whatever you want to grow. As you can see, it's all growing very well. But this system is a little unique, and not just because I'm growing in pots or that the soil is organic. What I have been watering this entire system with is the nutrient-rich water from my aquaponics system, so specifically from the fish pond portion. So what I did was I installed an additional pump in my fish tank, and it pumps the water out to an irrigation system. You might be able to see some of the little black lines running to a drip system, and these are bringing that nutrient-rich water directly into these pots. And as you can see, these plants are really flourishing. This Swiss chard here, my wife and I, we've been harvesting these for almost 2 months, and they just keep growing back. I've got a lettuce mix over here that we're growing, and again, we've already harvested those lettuce plants more than once, and they're growing. Looks like we're about ready for harvest again. I've got a number of zucchinis back here. I think I counted my vegetables earlier on the zucchinis, and I've got about 16 zucchinis coming up on 4 plants right now. So those are growing really well. This is a really fun way to expand your aquaponics garden and still get that really great growth rate. It's not going to grow quite as fast as the plants do in the aquaponics system, as we compared the 2 corn plants earlier, but still we're getting some really beautiful vegetables out of this garden. One thing that I had mentioned earlier about the aquaponics system, one of the great advantages of it is that you're able to grow the plants close together. And I wanted to demonstrate that in my pot gardening as well. You can see how closely these plants are planted. Now, obviously corn needs to be planted close together anyway so that it can germinate. But in the same pot that I have the corn, I've got several green bean plants. I've got a couple of Brussels sprouts that are doing just great right next to it. Now, generally speaking, with conventional gardening, when we garden in soil, no matter how good the soil is, it retains a certain amount of nutrients, and it requires the water to go into the soil for that to be able to then be absorbed by the roots of the plants. Because I am watering these plants with the water from the aquaponics system, they're not actually needing the nutrients from the dirt so much because of the nutrient-rich water that they're getting coming out of the fish pond. So again, I'm able to harvest a large amount of vegetables from a very small area because of this nutrient-rich water. So you can see here as well, I've got 5 Swiss chard plants growing in very close vicinity with one another. I think they would probably recommend that these be planted a foot to 2 feet apart, but I've got them literally 4 inches apart. I'm still getting really great harvests out of these plants. So this is a wonderful way to expand a backyard garden with the pots and taking the water out of the fish tank and using it to grow the vegetables.